what's up YouTube? Welcome to this video, which I decided to quickly make because I tried playing the BPL a little bit. In the beginning, I was kind of trolling and trying to level with only Venom Gyre as soon as I got the skill gem as some sort of challenge. And man, the real challenge was not losing my mind from playing probably one of the worst abilities I've ever played in terms of what it feels like without any levels or projectiles or pierce or chain or four. And you can see here, it is a struggle. Let's go look at the Vol fight, right? Now, this fight was something else. So this is the Vol fight. As you can see here, you don't really have that many projectiles, and I'm using LMP and Pierce, and you have to pretty much use Pierce at this point, because otherwise you can't do anything. But this is the damage you can kind of expect from the League Star Venom Gyre build, and yeah, it looks pretty bad. So, but does it get better? That's the real question, right? We want to know, does the skill get better? And it kind of does. I mean, it's not that bad anymore, but is it going to get even better? So here's Katava, and the skill is not terrible anymore. It definitely is a skill that you kind of want to play Spectral Helix to level up until you get like Cruel Lab or Merciless Lab or something like that. And I do think it is League Star viable after testing it out in SSF environment. And Deadeye is pretty much the only ascendancy you can play. As you can see here, Katava was down. It did take me quite a while to finish this run. But I do think if you play Spectral Helix until Act 7 or so, when you get both ascendancies for Cruel Lab and Normal Lab, the build will be perfectly fine. And I actually do think it's better than Spectral Helix in mapping. Let me see some quick mapping footage later on. And the mapping feels really good. And the clear is miles better than Spectral Helix, that's for sure. And it definitely shines really well because you can pretty much just Whirling Blade and everything just dies. And this is with completely bad gear. I'm not even Nightblade right now. I'm still using Precise Technique. As you can see here, it's kind of popping off, right? I mean, it's definitely going to clear the map faster than Spectral Helix. So just some food for thought. I do think that this build is viable and has some potential in a League Star scenario as long as they decide not to nerf Venom Gyre. And this isn't even Nightblade, right? This is literally just, what's it called? This is pretty much just Precise Technique. Single target is still probably one of the lower points of the build and not exactly the strongest portion of it. But as you can see here, when we get to the boss, and this is Crimson Township map, it's not too bad. And I was actually very surprised. I did put in a red map even, and I could clear it at level 73 with almost like no gear at all. And yeah, this is not terrible with the gear I currently have. So tomorrow we'll probably try it out a little bit more and see how the character progresses. But let's go straight into it. So testing the League Star Venom Gyre and BPL. So for leveling at the start, I decided to play the skill right at the start, so level 12. Now this skill does not work early on, as I said, because you don't have any additional projectiles, you don't have any pierce, you don't have any fork, or you don't have any chain. So you're pretty much throwing out one projectile that stops as soon as it hits even one mob. And I was so confused. I was like, am I even using Venom Gyre? Why is there nothing coming out of me, and why is it stopping? So in order to use the skill right at level 12, you have to equip Pierce into the gem. And then you want to equip LMP. So you want to use Venom Gyre, LMP, and Pierce. But no one should really play this skill at level 12. If you play this skill at level 12, you're pretty much into BDSM. And you want to torture yourself. And that's what I did yesterday. Now, it is a horrific experience until you're level 38. Purely because your attack speed is low for the Whirling Blades. You don't have any additional projectiles without super lowering your damage. You don't have any fork. You don't have any chain. But everything starts getting a little better at level 38. You get cast 1 damage taken tornado. You get mark on hit sniper's mark. You get fork. You get GMP. You get access to all sorts of gems that makes the skill a lot more viable. You can craft flat damage in your rings and jewelry to make you do more damage. And it does look up. And Spectral Helix, on the other hand, is like 10 times faster. You could probably do the run in under 4 hours if you use Spectral Helix at the start, and then you swap over to Venom Gyre in Act 8 after you do Cruel Lab. But I do think that Venom Gyre is faster than Spectral Helix after you get the Cruel Lab ascendancy, and especially after you get the Merciless Lab, because the clear is just incomparable. having a skill that you can actually do damage while using your movement skill is pretty much the best of both worlds. Now, I did decide to use Precise Techniques, and currently my character is still Precise Techniques. It's actually level 80. I should have probably swapped sooner, but I've been pretty lazy. So what Precise Techniques does is it gives you 40% more attack damage if your accuracy rating is higher than maximum life. So normally when you have crit, so let's say like your crit multi is 150%. So that means every time you crit, you do like 50% more damage than normal. So Precise Technique is like if you have 140% crit multi and you have 100% crit. Now the way you activate the skill is you have to have accuracy rating higher than your life. So you can see right here I have 3,452 accuracy rating and 3,358 life. So it actually gets activated. And the tooltip's not that bad. It's 40k. And it is a very good way of leveling up early on, especially if you use either any attack skill. Precise Technique is pretty much the elemental overload they added into the game. So this is the skill that everyone used to use for spell leveling, spellcaster leveling. So you might be wondering, how do I actually deal with early game mapping and how the experience actually was? And I am, level 80. I have done like half the Atlas, and it's pretty much because I just steal the maps from the guild stash. But incredible mapping clear speed due to chain and shotgunning mechanics. I can't stress this enough. Having built-in chain on your skill feels amazing to play with. And the shotgunning mechanics allow you to do most bosses early on as long as you're not super under level. And I'm currently using a 5-link, and I'm still using LMP even for better clear speed. Now LMP is important because it gives you more projectiles. I'm actually shooting out 5, so every time I shoot it out, it returns like 5. So it makes it for very easy shotgunning. And if I do want more single target, I'll probably swap out LMP to elemental damage with attacks. And I will probably swap over to Nightblade as soon as I finish recording this video. And I wanted more points to switch to crit, but at this point I should probably switch already. But in terms of how the pathing is for the tree, I came out this way. I want more attack speed, wind down to get life. I took these nodes pretty much because I want to shrink an int. And I'm still missing one int, actually, go figure. I took movement speed nodes and over here because movement speed always feels really good while leveling. Took these nodes with some crit chance and elemental damage with attacks. Crit chance doesn't really help out right now. And I do have to take out some accuracy nodes. So you can see here I'm taking this one accuracy cluster over here. Someone actually wants to buy something for 45x. And I'm also taking this node cluster right here for additional chance of fork. So 75% chance for additional projectile while forking. And then over here we have long shot, which gives you more projectile speed, which feels super good. And point blank, as always, is necessary because every time you use Whirling Blades, you'll pretty much be on top of the enemy and getting full benefit of the point blank. The Mark Mastery is over here for culling and Frenzy Charge generation on bosses. And I have the pen, and then this just gives me some resist. And then this thing's not bad. When I get crit, I can shock enemies, and this will give you a higher effective shock. And Charisma is used because I'm running some pretty much cheating ores. I'm using Herald of Ice, Wrath, and Anger, which is probably what you'll not be using unless you're like low level and you don't really care about dying. At this point, I don't really care about dying because it's not too big of a deal. And I'm using the attack damage leech as life and mana to replenish my mana pool without using a mana flask. And when you switch over to crit, you'll pretty much just fill out this node right here. You'll get the bottom crit nodes over here. And I'll probably switch these accuracy nodes over to the crit and accuracy nodes. And lastly, take this here, these 3 points, and 3 points over here. And that's pretty much all the crit you'll be getting. And the spell suppression, you can get 100% chance to crit if you have 100% spell suppression. So super easy swap over. And I do think that the Precise Technique tree can carry you all the way through red maps. So overall, this build is pretty League Star viable if you just play Spectral Helix Deadeye for the first 7 acts and then swap over to Venom Gyre. I have done a lot of runs with Spectral Helix Deadeye, and I do think Venom Gyre actually beats out Spectral Helix for mapping early game through yellows, and you'll map much faster than Spectral Helix, and I don't even think it's comparable. Now the big thing to test for this build is whether you can play this without Omniscience and still do all of the bosses end game, and I do want to try it out. I may also try out using Perseverance and using Grace and Determination. And the big question I also have is if deck stacking or Omniscience will be harder to gear for in a League Start scenario. Deck stacking, you kind of need the Sentinel boots, which means that people will have to recombine a bunch of stuff. So it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. And the deck stacking claw is pretty much only a Shaper claw, so that's not really too hard. You get a Shaper Imperial claw, you reforge coal to try to hit the deck stacking mod, and anything else on it. So maybe it could potentially work out. So it pretty much just comes down to whether the deck stacking boots or omniscience is harder to obtain. And Venom Gyre does need an MTX seriously. Like, why does it look so bad? On the bright side, you can see these skills got the MTX Stygian Seismic Trap effect and Oblivion Fire Trap effect. So you can be pretty sure that these two skills are getting nerfed. So no Venom Gyre MTX maybe means no nerfs. So if you do want to try out a new character, you're new to the league, give this a try out. If you want to try out some Venom Gyre, I do think that you can probably do most of the content in the game, even without Omniscience, but I'll try it out tomorrow, so I'll keep you updated on my experiences. But currently, it's been going well, level 80. Leveling experience is kind of bad, but if you use Spectral Helix, it won't be too terrible. Halfway done through the Atlas, and still have a lot of room for the damage. I'm using Trinity, Venom Gyre, added cold damage, Fork, and LMP, so lots of room to grow. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more Mirrors, Exalts, and Mage Bloods than me, and let me know down in the comments below your experience of leveling with Venom Gyre, whether it's on Deadeye, Berserker, or Champion on a League Start scenario. And thanks for watching. See ya. Bye.